Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for the Financial Coach Master Training Informational Webinar. My name is Chris Campbell. I am the Senior Director of Financial Coaching here at Ramsey Solutions, and I'm excited to be with you today. Listen, guys, it is a beautiful sunny day here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I hope your June has gone well. This has been a wild ride for all of us these first 6 months of 2020. It's almost like we're coming out of a bad dream here, but hey, here we are, and I'm excited to be able to talk to you today about Financial Coach Master Training. And so what this is going to be about, guys, is learning about Financial Coach Master Training, but ultimately dealing with the mental hurdles that people that are in your shoes, that are considering becoming a financial coach, what do they deal with? What do they think about? What problems do they have that come up in their mind? And then how do you work through those? And what does that look like? And so that's what we're going to spend some time doing. As I put in the chat function there, we're going to be about 45 minutes long on this webinar-ish, okay? We are going to send out a recording in a few hours after the webinar, so you have some time to go back and review should you choose to. We are going to have a Q&A, so you just use the Q&A box if you want to ask a question with us live here today. And then, of course, we're going to do a giveaway as well. And so we'll make sure that you have all of that they're taken care of. So again, pumped up. So let me go ahead and kick it off with this. And let's deal with kind of the first mental hurdle that I see most prospective coaches deal with. And that is, where in the world do I find people if I want to do coaching? And then also, hey, listen, do people really need help? Now, it's kind of laughable on that last one, but you'd be surprised how many people they go, do you think really people need financial coaching? And what does that look like? And well, the simple answer is yes. Now, obviously, we've dealt with a lot of the COVID-19. I think we crossed this past week the 100-day mark of the COVID-19. But you're going to see some stats that actually are precursors to that. They're well before the COVID-19 situation happened. And so right now you see on your screen, 39% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. Now, $400 can go so quick right now. It just can. You imagine a water heater going out, a dishwasher going out. If you have a new set of tires that you need to purchase, you name it, $400 is gone in the blink of an eye. And my friends, 40% of people couldn't cover that. They don't have the money in reserve. Now, I'd love to pause right there and say, now, what does that not mean? What did I not say right there? It is not an income problem in America. The average American family brings home about $66,000. We have plenty of money. America is broke. They're not poor. There's a massive difference between those two statements. So when someone can't cover a $400 emergency, again, it's not that they don't have the money, it's that they don't allocate the money. You see the average cable bill in America right now, people that just watch TV, and listen, I get it, I'm a cable cutter too. The average cable bill, though, for 300 million Americans is $157 a month. You have to answer this question if you really want to think about the statement that you see on your screen there. How do broke people pay for cable television? They choose to. They prioritize it. They want to. You see, in America, we can have anything we want. As a matter of fact, we'll prove it. We'll put it on a credit card. We'll go into debt. It doesn't matter. If we want a $70,000 truck, that's fine. We'll get it. We'll put it on an 80-month note. No problem. We'll pay $700 a month. No problem. We want it. But anything when we start saying, oh my goodness, we need it, then all of a sudden we start justifying how we can't. And one of the things that coaches help people do is remove victim and villain mentalities into, I'm choosing not to. You see, when you choose not to do something, you can't blame it on someone else. When you say I can't, many times we say external factors are the problem for it, the reason why I can't do something. And so what do these folks do? They put it on a credit card. They go to Lowe's, Home Depot, and they go get that washer or that dryer or that dishwasher, and they put it on 6 months, no interest, because I guarantee you they'll pay it off. Because guess what? That's what everybody does, right? They get a credit card, they put something on it, and they pay it off every single month, unless a pandemic hits and they lose their job or you name it. So the need is great. The need is absolutely great out there. I mean, this is just 40% of Americans at this point. Here's the biggie, though. 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Now, again, look at the date on there. CareerBuilder put that out in 2017. Those numbers have held very steady, by the way. 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck, meaning if they missed one paycheck, life would get real quick. Now, 78% of people represents 255 million people. So if the thought crept up in the back of your mind, well, how in the world do I find people? It's literally like trying to find oxygen outside. It's literally everywhere. People need help with their personal finances. They don't need help with investments. They don't need help with insurance. They don't need help with taxes. There's already people for those. That's financial advisors, that's CPAs, that's insurance guys and gals. Financial coaches have the distinctive competency and deal with the most unique situation, which is what you're looking at on your screen right now. 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Now, let me give you a little bit more of a sobering stat. If you're over the age of 15 and you remember 2008, 2009, what we called the Great Recession, that's where there were more bankruptcies and foreclosures and job losses than you can imagine. This pandemic has nothing on that. This number was actually at 70% during that time. So that means during 11 years of economic boom, this number also grew by 8%. That again shows you America is broke, they're not poor. So people take our training and they do it really for multiple reasons. They do it for ministry, meaning they're choosing not to charge. They do it for business, which is where they choose to charge. And then they also do it for just personal and professional development. But the folks who are choosing to charge, that's where we have to help them overcome that mental hurdle. It's like, how in the world do I charge someone who is having financial difficulties? Again, I want to go back to the cable bill. I want to go back to going out to eat. The average non-millionaire spends about $283 a month on going out to eat. How do they do that? They choose to. They figure it out. And that's what they do. And so if you're living in this 78% of paycheck to paycheck, you have to choose not to do that anymore. It's a big deal. Dave's grandmother would say it this way: those convinced against their will are of the same opinion still, meaning that some people won't choose to. Some people will choose to stay in their pain. And that's okay. We've all been there. We know what that feels like. But guys, you have to kind of really deal with these mental hurdles right out of the gates. Is there a need for financial coaching? And where in the world would I find somebody if I chose to do it, even ministry or for a coaching business? Now, Financial Coach Master Training, you're going to hear me shorten it down to FCMT, is a 100% online program. We didn't build it for COVID-19. It's just been that way for about 2 to 3 years. And we've been training financial coaches for over 20 years now. We've been coaching people one-to-one for over 30 years. In a sense, we've kind of seen it all. You can just kind of do that. And the reason why I show you the world here is because, as I mentioned a moment ago, financial coaches deal with something that really no one else deals with. Coaches do not sell investments. They do not do taxes. They don't sell insurance. Let me say it one more time for effect. Financial coaches do not sell investments. They do not do taxes, and they don't sell insurance. You need license to do those things. You don't need a license to do financial coaching. And I'm going to deal with the credibility and the background here in just a second, but it's really important to note that, because some people have that question. They go, well, what is the difference between a financial coach and a financial advisor? As one of our coaches on our team says all the time, a financial advisor deals with your money's behavior. We deal with your behavior with money. That's the way we handle that. So the training is 100% online. It's 100% self-paced. We see the average person complete our training in about 30 to 45 days on average. Some people are completing it a lot faster nowadays. And usually people are spending a couple hours a week. So again, let me say that again. The average person completes our training in about 30 to 45 days, usually spending a couple hours a week. It's 100% self-paced. And again, we're teaching you how to deal with the day-to-day pain points that people really struggle with. The cash flow planning, the debt elimination, the emotional, psychological, relational aspects of money. That's where people struggle, my friends. There's plenty of people. There's 700,000 people that do taxes. There's 400,000 people that do investments. And there's 1 million people that sell real estate. No one deals with the things that financial coaches deal with. Now, I told you, I'd promise you we'd step into the background thing. And here's the deal. Most people struggle with it, and they'll say it something like this: how can I feel credible as a financial coach if I have debt? How can I feel credible as a financial coach if I don't have a finance degree? Well, here's the reality. We've hired 7 coaches to work for Dave Ramsey's coaching team in the 30 years we've been doing coaching. 0 of them had a finance degree. 0. As a matter of fact, 3 of the 7 didn't have a degree whatsoever. You see, when you're working with people, they don't care about your degree. Now, we trick ourselves into thinking they do. We say they do, but no one asks you what's your degree in. Here's the 2 questions, if you're ever going to do coaching, that people legitimately ask themselves that you need to be aware of. Do you fully understand? This is number 1. Do you fully understand my situation? And then number 2, can you help me? And by the way, guys, that's in any industry. You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever sat down with somebody who is, air quotes, a professional, and it feels like they just want to get to what they want to talk about and they don't want to listen to what you have to say, you know that feeling? It didn't matter if they had more degrees than a thermometer, you were not going to work with them. They didn't earn credibility with you. Even if they said, well, I have a PhD, well, I've got this, this, and this. If you don't feel listened to and you don't feel heard, you're not going to work with them. The second one is, can they help you? And I promise you, if number 1 isn't answered, you don't care about number 2, if they can help you or not. So as financial coaches, there's really 3 things that make a financial coach successful. The first thing they have to do is fully understand the situation. It's ironic. That's the first thing that they want to hear. Can you fully understand me? The second thing a coach has to do is they have to provide the right information at the right time. And then ultimately, third is inject hope. Now, fully understanding situations is about asking questions. People know that you care about their situation and can answer that first question if you know how to ask the right kind of questions. Coaching is about asking questions. It's about insight. It's not about information. It's not about a curriculum. A coach's job is to take someone's goals and dreams and put them into a project and help them accomplish it. It is not about a curriculum. It is not about a cookie cutter presentation. It is not about some book you read and then you try to regurgitate it to the next person. It's about helping that person solve the problems of their life that are holding them back with their finances. Which, by the way, when you unlock that for somebody, generally that deals with their relationships. Generally that deals with their job. Generally that deals with their future and their kids. It's amazing how much influence money has over your life when you have it going right and when it's not going well. So teachers, firefighters, pastors, church staff, stay-at-home moms, Navy SEALs, professional athletes. Sure, we'll have real estate agents take our training. Sure, we'll have CPAs take our training. Sure, financial advisors will take our training. I said this earlier, and if I've said it 3 times, you know you need to lean in on it. Coaches do not sell real estate. Coaches do not do taxes. Coaches are not financial advisors. They don't sell investments and insurance. Those folks do that. Financial coaches deal with the emotional, psychological, relational aspect of money. So this is the key for this one. There is no blueprint. Miriam, you just said, I'm assuming their lack of response. This is not really live. Sure it is. I'm really live. I'm just not answering questions right now. So there's your background, guys. That's why background really does not matter. Your background just doesn't matter. Those 2 questions, do you fully understand me? And can you help me? Those are the key. Guys, Miriam is like saying, excellent, thanks right now. I guess you thought I wasn't really live. That's really funny. All right, so let's talk about what you'll learn in the training. Now, listen, I think that, again, I told you this earlier, but people take our training for multiple reasons. The first one is they might want to do it as a ministry. Again, they're choosing not to charge. They want to do it as a business where they choose to charge for their coaching practice. And then the third one is they do it for personal professional development. I think when, Leslie, you didn't think it was live either. Oh, it sure is. Whenever you're thinking about taking training, there's some natural questions that creep up in your head. And I call those mental hurdles. And it's usually about like, okay, I do this as a business. What do I charge? Where do I meet? What forms do I use? What's the format and things like that? And those things are really funny. Because those are natural things for us all to think about. But when you're thinking about becoming a financial coach, you have to learn how to coach first. It's almost like going to a guy who went to medical school and he's one of the best brain surgeons in the city, and you go and have lunch with him, and your first question is, how do you charge for brain surgery? He'd be like, really? That's the first question you have? You don't want to ask me how I got to become a brain surgeon. What does that look like? What are the hard parts about that? Those kind of things. And that's the same thing that we start out with inside of our training. So here's what you're going to learn. It's the foundations of coaching. You have to learn how to coach. That's the purpose of this whole thing. The Ramsey Solution coaching process, the thing that we've been doing for 30 years and teaching other people how to do for 20 years. How do you meet with somebody? What do you say? What do you not say? What forms do you need? What are all the things you think you need to do? And then what are the few short things that you really have to do? You have to learn how to get to the root of someone's financial issues. I'm going to say it again. Coaching is not about information. If you want to be a great financial coach, you have to learn how to ask amazing questions. That's what coaching is about. Everybody else wants to give information. And by the way, if you want information, just go to the internet. It's free. Just go there and do it. The thing is that that's always been free. I had a lady one time look at me and she said, Chris, why should I work with you? I could just read a book. And I said, just do it then. You don't need my permission. See, she already had the information. She didn't care about information. She wanted insight. That's what coaching is about. Long and short-term models, whether you're meeting with somebody one time or you're going to meet with them multiple times, which, by the way, their situation should drive that. Anybody that looks at somebody and says, oh my goodness, well, how often should I be meeting with somebody? Well, it's based on their situation. Again, imagine going to the doctor with an ear infection, or at least you think you have one. And they said, well, before we get started, I meet with every patient 7 to 10 times. You'd be like, what? That didn't feel right. It feels like you should get to know me and my situation and then determine that. Same thing for a financial coach, my friends. That's the way that works. Coaching different personality styles, learning how to read the other person and not being a chameleon, not like you have to be everything to everybody, but you also can't say, well, I'm not like that, so I can't help that person. You can't be type A and say, oh, I don't work with detailed people, because there's a lot of them out there. And you can't be a very detailed person and say, well, I don't work with type A driven people because they want to get bullet points and I don't do it, things like that. No, you're coaching them. That's the key. And so guys, when you're thinking about coaching, that is the key thing you have to lean into. Understanding the process, understanding how to ask questions, understanding how your models work, and then understanding how to work with people one-to-one. Then it makes sense to start leaning into the crisis side of things. Dealing with student loans, bankruptcy, foreclosures, collectors. Now, listen, these things can sound scary, but they're really not, especially once you learn how they work. The most important thing is you're detached from their situation. They're emotionally involved. You have no idea when people get into these situations, how they just try to detach and not deal with it. Listen, when you're the one in crisis, you actually have to deal with it. As the coach, you're not responsible for it, but you can guide it because you're not emotionally attached to it. Once you learn those foundational things, you can walk someone through these things. They're not scary. You just have to understand them. And then remember, you're not emotionally attached. It's a really, really key thing. Now, as I said earlier, coaches don't sell investments and insurance and those kind of things, but you need to be aware of how they work. Why? Because a lot of people who come to a coach and they say, listen, I don't trust my insurance guy. I don't trust my retirement guy. And I have some questions. And most of the time it's not fund A versus fund B comparisons. It's just about understanding. Oftentimes when I'm meeting with somebody, I'm giving them questions to go back and ask their advisor or their insurance guy so they can feel better equipped in those conversations. It's crazy to me how much that helps somebody because they can actually walk into it and see, oh my goodness, I actually have a clue rather than being talked at the whole time. A coach can be phenomenal in that situation. Guys, then it makes a ton of sense to start talking about, well, how in the world do I market myself? How do I message myself? How do I find clients? How do I prospect? What do I charge? Where do I meet? All those good and important things that you do need to understand, but it makes way more sense to understand what you're going to do more so than all those things first. By the way, when you understand what you do as a financial coach, it gives you what we call contextual value. Let me say it this way. When someone says, well, how much should I charge? You should actually lead with, well, what problems do I solve? Let's go back to my brain surgeon example. Should a janitor and a brain surgeon charge the same thing? They're both valuable as human beings, but the level of problem that they solve are drastically different, and the pay is in accordance to. Your rewards in life will be in direct proportion to the service you provide. If you don't like your rewards, change your service. You want more rewards, increase your service. It's the same thing with a financial coach. Look at the problems that you solve, and then it starts dictating what you could and should charge if you're doing it as a business. Now, Dave Ramsey and Chris Hogan are the folks that actually teach all these lessons, and they're experts. Chris Hogan was a coach on our team for well over a decade. I worked side by side with him. Dave Ramsey was the original coach coming right out of the gates, fresh out of bankruptcy, by the way. So if you're out there wondering like, oh, can I be a coach if I'm in debt? Can I be a coach if I've had mess ups in my life? Our CEO that runs a 950 person team that coaches people every day on the radio went through bankruptcy and started coaching people. That's okay. Now, if you're in debt and you want to be a financial coach, you can do that, but you have to be working the plan yourself. Hypocrisy comes from telling somebody to do something that you're not willing to do or doing yourself. And that's generally the emotion that people who are in debt, they feel when they're thinking about becoming a coach. One of my favorite coaches, he actually just paid off $100,000. He worked on it the last 5 to 6 years. He's been coaching people the entire time, full time as a financial coach. Now, this last thing about finding clients, and let me lean into this because this is a really important thing when it comes to marketing your coaching practice, because your marketing budget should be $0 if you choose to do coaching as a business or a ministry. Zero. You don't need to have a Facebook ads. You don't need to have billboards. You don't need to have business cards. You don't need to build websites. We call that getting ready to get ready to get ready, by the way. That's what people do when they get hung up on all those things. I was flying back a few months ago, well before this, so let's call it before January, from Phoenix back into Nashville, and there's a young lady that sat down next to me, and of course it naturally said, hey, what's your name and what do you do? I said, well, my name's Chris, and I help people get out of debt. She goes, oh my goodness, I need someone like you. I said, really? Why? By the way, most coaches are like the annoying 5-year-old with whys. Why? She explains that she's in $250,000 worth of student loan debt, and her fiance is a couple rows back, also in $250,000 worth of student loan debt. They're both doctors. They're about to get married, and they don't have a plan, but they do have $500,000 in debt. 15 more minutes after she explains her situations and why she wants to get out of debt and what that looks like, I go, great. Would you like some help with that? She said, well, sure. Oh my goodness, well, you have to be a salesman and you have to be outgoing if you want to be a financial coach. No, I answered the 2 questions. I understood her situation, and then I asked her if she wants some help with it. She said yes. She could have said no, by the way, but that's the way you market and talk about your financial coaching. Now, she was a complete stranger. Most of our coaches never even talk to a complete stranger, but that was how that worked. Here's what I didn't tell her. I'm with Dave Ramsey. I'm a financial coach. I have 15 degrees. She didn't care about any of that stuff. She didn't say, oh, I bet you have a financial degree. Oh, I bet you make millions of dollars a year. She didn't think any of those things. She didn't know how much debt I was in. She didn't know where I lived. She didn't know anything. I listened and I understood. And then I asked. That was the simple way. So guys, we teach those things inside of the program. And so that's 1 year full access to that, by the way, whenever you're doing that. So, but let me tell you about the secret sauce of the program. And that is access to our coaching pros. That's Lisa, Les, and Tim. And they've been coaching for many years. Tim, for instance, is probably our newest coach. He started 2 full-time coaching practices in 2 different states. One of them was on the same road that Dave Ramsey's office is on. Talk about opening a carnival outside of Disney World. But he did it. And he did it in less than 6 months full-time. Guys, you have really great access to these coaches. You get to have live and interactive small group development calls. They also do these little things called labs where they break down topical situations. You can also every 2 weeks jump onto this thing called Real Talk webinars where they break down big content. As a matter of fact, in the month of July, we're going to be doing an amazing one on client creation. We're going to spend about 3 to 4 weeks on that, talking about creating clients through conversations. Amazing content. But these are your guides throughout the entire program. And listen, Dave says it this way. If you want to be a millionaire, you should hang out with millionaires. If you want to be a world-class coach, you should hang out with world-class coaches. So coaching isn't for everybody. Let me just pause and say that. It's not. It's not for everybody. But those that want to do it, we want to help build world-class financial coaches. And through that curriculum, with the access to the pros, we feel like we produce very awesome, confident and competent, incredible financial coaches. And that's the key right there. Once you complete the course, you do earn the designation of a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. That's a mouthful right there, people. And here's the thing. You notice I didn't say that to that young lady. I'm a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. I said what I did. I help people get out of debt. So while that's great, you need to use like what we just talked about. If you're one of our CPA friends, we do offer 41 total technical credits. We're accredited through NASBA, so you can go to your state-specific site. If I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher to somebody right now out there, yeah, it's just for the CPAs. So if that didn't make sense to you, just the CPAs have that as well. All right. Now, I've covered this a few times, but it's worth kind of going back over one more time before we kind of get started into our Q&A. So people take our training really for 3 different reasons. And it's just for the people who choose to take the training. Again, coaching is not for everybody. So we see people launch a ministry. They choose not to charge. They may work with benevolence ministries inside of the church, nonprofits. They support ministries at the church, or they work with women's shelters or prison ministries, things like that. We also see people who choose to do it as a coaching business. This is where you choose to charge. Now, the average coach out there right now charges between $100 and $200 per session that is doing it as a business. And they, on average, meet with a client 5 to 7 sessions. A session usually is about 60 minutes long, 60, and usually is about 30 days apart from each other, usually. Again, the person drives that, not some coach's subscription model. The person drives that. Now, for those that are doing coaching as a business, we offer kind of an ongoing program after the training. It's optional for you and for us because there's an interview process. These are the coaches that we refer to on our website. We have about 750 of them listed nationwide, so there's no area of the country that's oversaturated with coaches. But that program, we have a full-on webinar after the training is over just for coaches that want to do it as a coaching business to learn more about that program if they want to do it. I see coaches launch coaching practices outside of that program all the time. So it's not mandatory. You don't have to do it, but it is an option for you. And then the last one here is it's for personal and professional development. We have banks, churches, law enforcement, military that take our training just because they know that working with people is the way, and money's going to come up if you work with people, period. Even if you're in another coaching field, money's going to come up. If you're in marital counseling, money's going to come up. It comes up all the time. All right. So that's what that looks like. Now, saw a few of you guys ask, are we going to email out our recording about what I just kind of went over today? Yes. I'm going to send you out an email here in probably about 2 hours that's going to give you kind of a detailed email on how to get started, what that looks like, and also the recording of what we just went over as well. You can also go enroll on the training on FCMT Online. That's a great website for you to go check out, kind of a breakdown of our lessons. You can see a 1 to 2 sentences on each lesson on there as well. A few testimonials, which guys, I never have hung my hat on testimonials. Who puts a bad testimonial on their website? Why would we do that? Why would we start that trend? We don't have any of those hardly, but there it is. So enroll on FCMT Online as well. So if some folks come back and listen to this later on today, you can actually go there as well. So the regular price of our training is $19.95. That covers the full training for that full year access. And that's one just lump sum there. We don't do payments. Guys, we'd be the biggest phonies on the planet if someone was to pay us payments. And by the way, if you can pay a payment to someone else, you can pay a payment to yourself. Pay a payment to yourself and save up for it if you want to do that. But one of the things that we're doing in the month of June is we're offering $375 off that program. So it's normally $19.95, but with use promo code SUMMERCOACH, you get $375 off the training. And we have 48 enrollments left through next Tuesday. We had about, I think, 6,400 people on this webinar. So I anticipate those to go pretty quick. But using promo code SUMMERCOACH, you get $375 off the training through the end of June. One of the other bonuses we're including is the launch plan. The launch plan is a conglomerate of videos put together by our team in conjunction with our Ramsey preferred coaches out there, talking about what do you need to go do the first 30, 60, 90 days after completing our training. Whether you want to do it for ministry or for business, doesn't matter. How do you not get ready to get ready to get ready? We really want to solve that for you so you go do something with it. It doesn't do you any good, us any good, and people who need your help any good if you just sit on your hands. It doesn't help anybody. This is why we put this together. Here's the last thing. As I told you earlier, you get 1 year full access to the program. But one of the things we're doing right now is if you complete the training by the end of September, which is an absolute piece of cake, you get 2 additional years access. So that means you get 3 full years access to the program by completing it by the end of September. Now, it's a piece of cake because I told you that the average person completes our training in about 30 to 45 days. So that's plenty of time. And again, that's with somebody just working through it 2 to 3 hours a week. You can do it even faster if you chose to, doing all your development calls with our coaches and everything like that. So you have plenty of time to access with the pros, with our coaches, work through the material, and then you can come back. And here's the reason why we do this. Because we have so many new lessons in the hopper, so many updates in the hopper. We want you to get access to all those updates that we do the program. As a matter of fact, this fall, we're going to be dropping in a new lesson and updating a whole new lesson as well, because this program does not grow moss. It's always growing and developing as well. So guys, again, regular price on the program is $19.95 with that summer coach, $375 off with the 2 additional years access if you complete by 9/30. Plus the launch plan there as well. Marshall says, hey, what's access to and what does that provide? That's access to the full Financial Coach Master Training Program, all those lessons I just talked about, all of our coaching forms and everything. By the way, you never lose access to the coaching forms. We always want you to use those and get out there and do that as well. Let's see here. So guys, let's get to your questions and get the party started here. So Mong says, hey, what is the difference between a financial coach, financial advisor, and a financial analyst? So kind of covered that a few times. Financial advisors sell investments, sell insurance. Coaches deal with the emotional, psychological, day-to-day pain points of finances. They don't sell investments. They don't sell insurance, and they don't do taxes. That's not what they do. So financial coaches are going to work on the things that really people struggle with in their day-to-day finances. That one came from an anonymous person. Hey, I'm gonna jump to people who actually put their name on there, so that way you can hear it. Let's see here. Where do coaches meet people? Remember, I kind of told you about that. Financial coaches generally meet people at coffee shops. They generally meet people at Zoom meetings. They generally meet people at libraries, churches. People who go, a coffee shop, that's weird. No, it's not. If you go to a coffee shop right now on a Saturday morning, you'll see people with laptops, notebooks, signing documents, doing all kinds of great work out there. And they're not, you can't even hear what they're talking about. Tim, for instance, did his coaching practice out of a Panera Bread and Chick-fil-A. Done. You don't need office space. You shouldn't be spending any money on office space, marketing, or anything like that in your coaching practice. You really don't have to. Let's see here. All right, give me just another second. Brock says, what are the legal concerns with having your own coaching business? Well, number one, we teach coaches to stay in their lane. Because coaches don't sell investments, do taxes and insurance, those things you have to have a license for. And, you know, if you're not licensed in those things and you do those things, you're breaking a law. Coaches help people get insights into their situation. They provide options to people. They don't tell people what to do. That's not coaching. They look at people and say, here are your options. They go choose to do those things. So you could look into errors and omissions insurance if you chose to do that, especially as a business, but we don't recommend it because number one, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. The second part of his questions is, how do you get clients now with all the restrictions from COVID? In-person interactions is limited, so how to go about doing it this time? Zoom. How are we all in this meeting right now? Zoom. I said 6,400 people. That's a little bit bigger than 10 people. We got a lot. Jesus says, what is the difference between FPU and a financial coach training? Financial Peace University is a 9-week course that teaches a person on how to get out of debt. Financial coaching is 1-to-1. Financial coaching is the most comprehensive way for you to get help in your personal finances. It's the equivalent of going to a spin class or working one-on-one with a trainer. You might get in shape with both, but one is definitely more comprehensive. And by the way, you can do both. You don't have to do just coaching. That's key right there. All right, let me get down to these other questions. Let's see here. What types of, sorry guys, you guys are asking a ton of questions. What types of things are covered in the live development sessions? That's a great question. So there's 4 of those live development sessions. They're after lessons 4, 8, 12, and 13. You get to schedule those calls. They're about 50 minutes a piece. And we're going to break down the mental hurdles. We're going to cover things that you need to know, like how to create clients, how to do consultations, how to get past your own mental hurdles. You'll be surprised what will stop you mentally. There's 0 external things that stop you from coaching. It's all internal. Fear. Well, I don't know what this will look like. I'm too young to be a coach. Whoever told you that? No one. At what age will everyone listen to you? Never. There isn't an age. Things like that. Those are the things that you really need to know as well. Steve says, what price point are people paying for this service? Covered that a little bit ago. The average coach out there is charging between $100 to $200 an hour. That's the average. Let's see here. Cecilia says, amazing. A business without reporting the income. No, that's illegal, Cecilia. You don't want to do that. You report your income. You pay taxes on every dollar. That's what you have to remember. Let's see here. Do coaches have to go through Financial Peace University before becoming a coach? They do not. We actually give you Financial Peace University inside of the training as a bonus as well. All right. Ryan says, can you work with Dave Ramsey preferred investors, or do you have to work with a financial investor from Dave Ramsey's site? So if you need to refer to somebody, number one, you're giving the referral, not Dave Ramsey. If you meet those guys and you want to, the key thing about a referral is you need to know who in the world you're handing someone over to. I'm working on a transaction outside of work right now, and a guy referred me to somebody because he knows the guy, not because he heard about him, but because, and when I called him, I said, hey, X, Y, and Z person is referring me to you. And he goes, oh yeah, I love that guy. How can I help? That was so much better than who or what. That's the key thing right there. Let's see here. Let me take a few more. You guys have some great questions as well. Scott says, is there a test to complete the course? Scott, there are quizzes and tests to complete. So there's quizzes to verify your learning. There's tests to make sure you're getting the full lessons there as well. All right. Let's see here. Can a person be in baby step 2 and be a coach? So that's a question. Can you be in debt and be a coach? Yes, you can. As I mentioned earlier, are you working the steps yourself? If you're not working the steps yourself, if you're not paying off debt, then you shouldn't be a financial coach. It's hard to tell somebody to do something you're not doing yourself. That's the key there. Carmen says, are there any in-person conferences? That's a funny question in today's environment. No one's asking that. I'm joking. Yes, we have a once a year kind of coach event that we do, but you have to be a financial coach to even be invited to that. But we don't have any in-person coach trainings. It works way better when people are training online. Way better, I promise you. Let's see here. If I don't have the total amount for the course now, is there another plan to do this? Yes, pay yourself. Save up, come back when you're ready. We'd love to have you. Let's see here. Tyler says, what are the limits and rules if I'm a registered financial advisor? If you go talk to your broker dealer, the person you work for, they'll tell you what those are for your particular broker dealer. Let's see here. Nathan says, can you talk about how many leads are generated from the Ramsey website? So reminder, you take the course. People take the course for multiple different reasons. Some people take the training because they want to do it as a ministry. So why would they want leads? They're doing it for free. There's people who want to do it as a business and they don't want to join Ramsey Preferred Coach. Well, obviously we're not going to send leads. If people are part of our Ramsey Preferred Coach program, which is the optional and additional program after the training that you have to interview and apply for, not just everybody gets shooed in. If you're a part of that, it's really multiple things. It's about connections, which there are referrals. Generally, we see upwards of 8 to 10 per month, sometimes more. Sometimes less, depends on the area. But that's not why people join Ramsey Preferred Coach, Nathan. They join it because of coaching. A coach without a coach is like a doctor that won't go to a doctor. You need coaching if you're doing coaching as a business and you're engaging with our team. You also need community. We have a fantastic community as a part of that. You also need access to tools that we have, things like that. If you're doing coaching as a business with us, that's what that looks like. So again, we have a full-on other webinar after the training for just those folks. It's a small segment of people that want to do that, and that's why we don't go into it big time on here, because again, it's not for everybody. Can you start coach training at any time, or is there specific start times? Alyssa, great question. You can actually sign up today, and then actually from there, you can start training tonight. That's all you have to do. As a matter of fact, I'm actually putting the promo code and link in the chat box right now for you. So if you sign up today, you can actually start training today. It's self-paced, okay? Let's see here. Ryan says, how many actually launch a profitable business? Every person that chooses to. Every person that chooses to charge. That's it. You know, you have to go do something with it. You know, Ryan, if you want to do coaching as a business, you'll have to choose to charge. If you say, I want to make money at it, but you choose not to charge, how much money will you make? Zero. You have to choose to do that. Jennifer says, how long are the 14 lessons? The average lesson is about an hour, hour and 10 minutes in length, but it's broken down into modules of about 11 minutes each. So it's very, very consumable from that standpoint. Andrea says, how do you market to people who are flat, busted, broke, and can't afford additional expenses of counseling, but need help? Well, Andrea, I'm going to coach you for a second. That is something you feel. That is something you think. I've been working in coaching for 11 years. I've met a total of 5 people out of thousands and thousands and thousands that are at a point where they technically just cannot afford it. Most of the time they're on Social Security disability. I've met 5. If you're in a town full of those, something's wrong. So I want you to think about that for a second. I promise you, I had a lady one time says, Chris, I can't afford you. She's on the phone, by the way. I can't afford to do anything. You know why I couldn't hear her too well? Because her TV was blaring in the background. I said, ma'am, how much do you pay for cable? She said, $200 a month. What's that got to do with anything? I said, it's got to do a lot of everything. It's got a lot to do with everything. How do you pay for that if you're flat, busted, broke? And using your words. She wasn't. She was choosing not to. That's how that works. Very, very simple. Let's see here. Yeah, Melissa says, I'm on Social Security disability and I'm planning on saving up for this course. She said, so if you want it bad enough, you can do it. That's a person, Melissa, on the webinar right now says, I'm in that situation that Chris just said. Let's see here. Joseph says, in the course, do you cover how to work with people who are not ready to be worked with? Man, I love that question. Yeah, we just call it something different, Joseph. We call it boundaries. You can't control what someone else chooses to do. When Dave Ramsey meets someone at an event and they go, Dave, you changed my life. He goes, no, I didn't. You did. I gave you the tools and you chose to do it. When someone's not ready, we don't force people. I hear some people from time to time say, well, I'm introverted. I'm not good at sales. And coaching is not about being good at sales. Coaching is about good at meeting people and talking to people and saying, do you want help with that if they have a problem? Because if they don't have a problem, what are you solving? If they don't have a problem, what are you selling? I'm an introverted person, and I talked to that person on the airplane. It was weird. It was different. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but it's what I did. And she was good with it. She loved doing that. She wanted to get help with her situation. Miriam says, when you charge for what your services are worth, those who value and desire the results will find a way to pay for it. If you discount your services, clients will discount their results. Miriam, that's beautiful. Love how you said that as well. Thomas says, what do you do if they want to start with you and they stop 2 months in? Well, then you're done. They wanted to stop. What happens if you sign up for cable and cut it off? You're no longer watching TV. If someone does that and it catches you off guard, that means you didn't ask enough questions or you're not leaning into their situation enough generally. So guys, listen, I told you that webinar go about 45 minutes. We're going to send out a recording in about an hour, hour and a half, so you can re-listen to this and everything like that. And we'd love for you to connect with one of our coaches on our team. We have 3 that actually help people get signed up for the course, Brad, Ashton, and Ben. Brad, Ashton, and Ben. They will follow up with you, and they'll do a one-to-one 15-minute call with you to answer in-depth questions that you may have. because again, coaching is not right for everyone. So we want to know, well, why do you want to do this? And they'll tell you. I hear them all the time say, no, this isn't the right fit for you. I don't care if you want to do it for business or ministry, but if it is, we want to help you do that. And we want to get all of your questions answered. So they will be following up with you to answer your questions as well. Set up a phone call. If they're busy and their schedule is packed, shoot them an email directly. They will get you in. I know that the deal ends next Tuesday, but you got time and we have the enrollments. It's okay. So the person who won Financial Coach Master Training, 1 year full access, all the discounts, all the bonuses apply. So if she completes it by the end of September, she gets 2 additional years as well. You can start training tonight, by the way. The winner is Keisha Cabrera. Keisha Cabrera, you are the winner of Financial Coach Master Training. Shoot me an email and we'll get you everything that you need to get the ball rolling. So guys, my favorite part of the call today, outside of all your amazing questions, were the folks who thought it wasn't live, and I called them out. So there you go. Guys, y'all have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much. Come on and join us if you want to be a financial coach. Thanks.